You cut me out of the picture. That was the first time I ever said it out loud. Not in a dramatic way. Not yelling. Just standing in Logan Brooks' kitchen at almost midnight, holding my phone like it had personally embarrassed me. Logan looked up from the sink, one hand still wet, his dark hair pushed back messy from work. What? I should have laughed it off. I usually did. That was kind of my talent with him. Pretending small things didn't land directly in my chest. But I'd stared at that Instagram story for 10 minutes before coming over. The whole group was there at Casey's bar. Logan in the middle, grinning like he owned the place. Mason throwing up a peace sign. Tori laughing into her drink. And me? Gone. I'd been standing right next to Logan when he took it. Close enough that his shoulder had been pressed against mine. Close enough that, right before he hit record, his fingers brushed the back of my wrist under the table. But in the story, I wasn't there. Evan. His voice got softer. That was dangerous. Logan always got softer when it was just us. Around everyone else, he was loud. Easy. The guy who could make strangers laugh in 30 seconds. He called me bro in public so many times it started sounding like a warning label. But alone, he remembered how I took my coffee. He noticed when I skipped dinner. He showed up at my apartment with soup once because I'd texted, "I think I'm getting sick." And he acted like that was a normal best friend thing to do. Maybe it was. That was what I kept telling myself. Logan dried his hands on a towel and took one step closer. I didn't cut you out. I gave him a look. You literally cropped the video. The angle was weird. Yeah, I was the weird part. He stopped. The kitchen went quiet except for the hum of his old fridge. I hated how familiar his place felt. The cracked tile near the stove. The Bulls magnet on the freezer. The hoodie of mine hanging over one of his chairs because I'd left it there 3 weeks ago and he never gave it back. I hated that I noticed all of it. I hated that I wanted to belong there. Logan rubbed the back of his neck. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? He didn't answer fast enough. My stomach tightened. There it was. That tiny pause. The one I'd learned to recognize. It showed up whenever someone joked that we acted like a couple. Whenever his roommate raised an eyebrow because Logan knew my work schedule better than his own. Whenever Mason said, "You two are basically married." And Logan laughed too hard, too fast. Don't make it weird. That was his favorite escape route. I looked down at my phone again, even though I already knew the story by heart. You only do this when people can see. Logan's eyes flicked to mine. Do what? Act like I'm not important. His face changed. Just a little. Enough to make my chest hurt before he even spoke. You are important. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it was worse that he sounded like he meant it. He stepped closer again, slower this time, like he was approaching something that might break. Ev, nobody else called me that. Not like him. Not with that quiet pull at the end. I should have moved away. Instead, I stood there, dumb and frozen, while he reached for my sleeve. His fingers barely touched the fabric near my wrist. Barely anything. Still, my pulse jumped like my body had been waiting for permission. I'm sorry, he murmured. His thumb brushed once over the inside of my wrist, then stopped like he'd realized what he was doing. For a second, neither of us moved. He looked at my hand. I looked at his face. And there it was again. The private version of Logan. The one who looked at me like he had something stuck behind his teeth. Something honest. Something he kept swallowing down. Then his phone buzzed on the counter. The screen lit up with Mason's name. Logan's hand dropped away immediately. Too fast. Like he'd been caught. My chest went cold. He glanced at the phone, then back at me. It's not like that. I nodded, even though I didn't believe him. Even though I hated myself for still wanting to. Right. I slipped my phone into my pocket and stepped back. It never is. Logan said my name, but I was already walking toward the door. And the worst part was, before I left, I looked back. Because some pathetic part of me wanted him to stop me. He didn't. Not then. Not where anyone might hear. I made it all the way to the parking lot before my phone buzzed. Once. Then again. Then again. Logan. I did not look at it. That was a lie. I looked at it at every red light on the drive home like an idiot with no survival instincts. First message, Evan, wait. Second, I handled that wrong. Third, can you just tell me you got home safe? That one almost got me. Of course it did. Logan knew exactly where to press without even trying. I tossed my phone onto the passenger seat and gripped the steering wheel harder. The city looked blurry through the windshield, all street lights and wet pavement, because it had started raining just enough to make everything dramatic in the most annoying way possible. By the time I got to my apartment, I had decided I was done answering him that night. Completely done. Very mature. Very healthy. Then, 20 minutes later, there was a knock on my door. I froze in the middle of my kitchen with a bowl of cereal in my hand. It was almost 1 in the morning. Nobody knocked at 1 in the morning unless they were drunk, lost, or Logan Brooks. I opened the door just enough to confirm the worst option. There he was, hair damp from the rain, black jacket zipped halfway, breathing a little harder than normal like he had taken the stairs instead of waiting for the elevator. You did not answer. I stared at him. That was kind of the point. His eyes dropped to the cereal bowl in my hand. Dinner. Do not judge my healing process. A tiny smile pulled at his mouth, but it faded fast. Can I come in? I should have said no. I really should have. But his voice was quiet, and his shoulders looked tense, and I hated that my anger had soft spots shaped exactly like him. I stepped back. Logan came in like he had done 100 times before, kicking off his wet shoes by the door without asking, hanging his jacket over the chair where he always hung it. Too familiar. Too easy. That was the problem. He looked around my apartment, then at me. You are still wearing my hoodie. I glanced down. Gray hoodie. Faded sleeves. Smelled faintly like his laundry detergent because apparently the universe enjoyed humiliating me. It was clean. I am not complaining. His voice did that thing again. Lower. Softer. My stomach tightened before I could stop it. I turned toward the counter. Do not. Do not what? Sound like that after what happened. Logan went still behind me. For a second, all I heard was the refrigerator and rain ticking against the window. Then he moved closer. Not touching me. Just near enough that I felt him there. I panicked when Mason called. Yeah, I noticed. It was not because I was embarrassed by you. I let out a short laugh. You are really bad at proving that. He took that one. No joke. No defense. Just a slow breath. I know. That made me look at him. Logan Brooks agreeing with criticism was rare enough to count as a medical event. His eyes were tired. Not fake tired. Not bartender after a long shift tired. The kind that came from fighting with himself and losing. When people start making jokes about us, he said carefully, I do not know what to do. You laugh. Because if I do not, they keep looking. Maybe let them. His jaw tightened. The words landed between us and stayed there. I could see him wanting to say something. I could see him almost doing it. Then his gaze dropped to the counter. My phone was sitting there, screen still lit from his messages. Right beside it was the spare key he had given me months ago, when he said it was just practical because I was always feeding his cat when he worked late. He picked it up slowly, turning the key between his fingers. You still have this. You told me to keep it. I know. He looked at me then. Too long. Way too long. I liked knowing you had a way in. My mouth went dry. That was not a normal sentence. Not with his voice like that. Not with him standing in my kitchen at 1 in the morning, rain in his hair, looking at me like the rest of the world had finally gone quiet. Logan. It came out weaker than I wanted. He set the key down, but his hand stayed near mine on the counter. His pinky brushed mine by accident. Maybe by accident. Neither of us moved. His thumb shifted, barely touching the side of my hand, and my heart started pounding so hard I was sure he could hear it. Then he whispered, I hate that I hurt you. I looked at our hands. Then stopped doing it. His face changed like that sentence hit somewhere deep. For 1 second, I thought he was going to say it. Whatever it was. The thing he kept hiding behind jokes and cropped videos and late-night visits. But then my neighbor's door slammed in the hallway. Logan pulled his hand back. Not as fast as before, but enough. Enough to remind me. He swallowed, eyes flicking toward my front door. I stepped away first this time. His expression cracked a little. Good. Maybe I needed him to feel it too. I opened the door. You should go. Logan stared at me like he wanted to argue, but all he did was nod. Before he walked out, he looked back at the hoodie I was wearing. Keep it. I hated how much that hurt. Because even after everything, some small, stupid part of me still heard what he was not brave enough to say. By Friday, I had convinced myself I was fine. Not actually fine. More like the kind of fine where you stop checking your phone every 5 minutes and only check it every 10. Logan did not text much after that night. Just one message the next morning. I am sorry. I know that is not enough. I stared at it while brushing my teeth until toothpaste almost slid down my wrist. Then I locked my phone and told myself silence was mature. Adult. Healthy. Annoying. That night, Casey threw a small birthday thing at the bar, and I went because staying home would have felt too much like waiting for Logan to care. The place was packed enough to give me an excuse not to talk to anyone for too long. Low music, sticky tables, cheap beer, people laughing too loudly because it was Friday, and everyone wanted to pretend their week had not been terrible. I saw Logan behind the bar as soon as I walked in. He saw me too. Of course he did. His hand paused around a glass for half a second. That was it. Half a second. Then he went back to pouring drinks like nothing in his life had ever been complicated. I hated that I noticed the pause. Mason spotted me near the jukebox and waved me over. Evan Miller lives. I forced a smile. Barely. Good. We need emotionally stable people here. Then you invited the wrong guy. Mason laughed and handed me a drink. He was nice. Too nice, maybe. The kind of nice that felt easy because there were no hidden doors behind it. He complimented my jacket, asked about my design work, actually listened when I answered. I kept expecting my chest to do something. It did not. Not until I looked up and saw Logan watching us from across the room. His expression was normal if you did not know him. I knew him. I knew the tiny muscle in his jaw that jumped when he was holding something back. I knew the way his eyes went flat when he was pretending not to care. Mason leaned closer so I could hear him over the music. So what is the deal with you and Logan? My stomach dropped so fast I almost missed the table with my cup. There is no deal. Mason gave me a look. That was the fastest answer in history. Because it is an easy question. Sure. He lifted his drink, amused. That man has looked over here like 6 times. I laughed because that was safer than breathing. He is protective. Of you. The word hit wrong. Not bad. Just too close. I looked toward the bar again. Logan was wiping down the same spot of counter like it had personally offended him. He is protective of everyone. No, he is friendly with everyone. Mason's voice softened a little. That is different. I did not answer. Because the worst part was, Mason was right. Logan could talk to anyone. He could make strangers feel like they had known him for years. But with me, he noticed things nobody else noticed. Like when crowds made me quiet. Like when I picked at the label on my beer because I wanted to leave. Like right then, a fresh glass appeared in front of me. Water. I looked up. Logan stood there, not behind the bar anymore, but beside our table. You have not eaten. My face warmed immediately. Hello to you too. Mason's eyebrows climbed. Logan ignored him and pushed the water closer. Drink that. I am not a child. You had coffee for lunch. I froze. Mason looked between us, grinning slowly. How do you know what he had for lunch? Logan's mouth opened, then shut. That tiny silence was worse than any confession. The table went quiet around us. Even the noise from the bar felt farther away. Logan's eyes flicked to mine, and for a second, he looked caught. Not embarrassed. Caught caring. My pulse started doing something stupid. Mason leaned back, clearly enjoying himself. Wow. Okay. Logan straightened. The public version started sliding over his face. I saw it happen. Smile ready. Joke ready. Escape route ready. He complains in the group chat, Logan muttered. Except I did not. We both knew I did not. Mason's smile faded a little. Mine did too. Logan noticed. His hand tightened around the empty tray at his side. Evan. I stood before he could say anything else. Bathroom. It was a bad excuse. The bathrooms were in the opposite direction, and we both knew it. I made it halfway down the narrow back hallway before Logan caught up. Ev, wait. I turned too fast and nearly walked into him. The hallway was small, barely wide enough for 2 people, stacked with boxes from the bar delivery. Forced close. Stupidly close. His arm braced against the wall beside my shoulder, not trapping me, but close enough that my breath forgot what to do. You lied, I whispered. His face tightened. I panicked. That is becoming a pattern. He looked down. His hand hovered near my sleeve like he wanted to touch me and knew he had lost the right. I know what you ate because I called you at lunch and you did not pick up. Then I checked your story. Why? His eyes lifted to mine. Too honest. Too late. Because I missed you. My chest hurt. I hated how simple it was. I hated that it almost worked. Then voices came from the end of the hall. 2 guys laughing, getting closer. Logan stepped back before they saw us. Just 1 step. But I felt it everywhere. And that was the moment I knew I was done pretending not to understand what was happening. He cared. He wanted me. He was scared. And somehow, he still kept choosing the door over me. Logan stepped back, and the 2 guys from the hallway walked past us with a box of empty bottles between them. One of them nodded at Logan. You good, man? Logan's face changed so fast, it almost hurt to watch. Easy smile. Casual shoulders. Public Logan, fully loaded. Yeah, just checking inventory. Inventory. I looked at the wall behind me, because if I looked at him, I was going to say something I could not take back in the middle of Casey's bar hallway. The guys disappeared around the corner, still laughing about something. For a second, neither of us moved. Then Logan's smile dropped like someone had cut the strings. Evan, do not. My voice came out quiet, but sharp enough that he flinched. You keep doing that. Doing what? Turning me into furniture the second someone walks by. His jaw tightened. Not angry. Worse. Guilty. He looked toward the bar, then back at me like he was measuring the distance between who he was out there and who he was when it was just us. I am trying. I laughed once under my breath. At what? Hiding better. That landed. I saw it. His hand lifted, then stopped halfway between us. That is not fair. No, Logan. What is not fair is you remembering whether I ate lunch, showing up at my apartment in the rain, giving me a key to your place, looking at me like, I stopped. My throat went tight. His eyes locked on mine. Like what? The hallway felt smaller than before. Warmer. Too quiet for a bar full of people. I could hear music thudding through the walls, but between us, everything had gone still. Like I matter, I said finally. Logan's face softened so much it scared me. You do. Then why does it only count when nobody is watching? He did not answer. He looked down instead, and I knew that look too. The one he wore when he wanted to tell the truth, but could already feel himself losing the nerve. I should have walked away right there. I meant to. I really did. But then Logan reached for me again. This time, he did not touch my sleeve. He took my hand. Not fully at first. Just his fingers brushing mine, testing the space, waiting for me to pull away. I did not. That was the problem with my body. It betrayed me before my pride could organize a defense. His palm slid against mine, warm and careful. My heart started pounding so hard I felt it in my throat. Logan looked down at our hands like he could not believe he had done it either. His thumb moved once across my knuckles. Small. Almost nothing. It ruined me anyway. I am scared, he whispered. I swallowed. Of me. His head snapped up. No. The answer came too fast to be fake. Never of you. My chest tightened. He stepped closer, and this time there was nowhere for either of us to pretend the distance was normal. His shoulder nearly touched mine. His eyes kept dropping to my mouth, then back up like he hated himself for it. I stopped breathing for a second. Logan's voice went rough around the edges. I do not know how to be this in front of people. This. Not friends. Not whatever. This. The word hung there, wide open and dangerous. My fingers tightened around his before I could stop them. What is this? Logan stared at me. He looked terrified. He looked tired. He looked like the answer was right there, sitting on his tongue, and all he had to do was let it out. Evan. The back door swung open. Cold air rushed into the hallway, and Casey's voice cut through everything. Logan, I need you up front. Now. Logan let go of my hand. Not fast like before, but he let go, and somehow that was worse. Casey paused when he saw us standing there too close, too quiet, too obvious. His eyes moved from Logan to me, then to the space between our hands. Everything okay? Logan opened his mouth. I waited. Just 1 second. One chance. One stupid, desperate part of me waited for him to say no. Actually, everything is not okay, because I almost told Evan the truth in your storage hallway. Instead, Logan nodded. Yeah, I am coming. Casey disappeared first. Logan turned back to me, his face torn open in a way I had never seen before. Please do not leave yet. I looked at the hand he had just dropped. Why? He had no answer. Or he had one and still could not say it. Either way, it felt the same. I stepped around him, careful not to brush his shoulder. Because you almost did something brave? I did not wait for him to respond. I walked back toward the noise, toward the lights, toward everyone else, with my hand still warm from his. And that was the worst part. He had let go, but my body had not. I tried to act normal after that, which was funny, because nothing about sitting at a sticky bar table with your hand still remembering someone else's was normal. Mason slid back into the booth across from me and took one look at my face. Bathroom was intense, huh? I grabbed my drink. Do not start. I have not even started. This is me warming up. Casey's bar was louder now, packed shoulder to shoulder, the kind of Friday crowd where nobody really listened, but somehow everyone noticed everything. Logan was back behind the counter, moving fast, smiling when customers leaned in, laughing when Casey shoved an order ticket at him. He looked fine. Too fine. Then his eyes found mine across the room, and the smile slipped for half a second. Mason noticed. Of course he did. Okay, he murmured, leaning closer. I am just going to say it. Please do not. That man is not looking at you like a friend. My stomach tightened. I stared at the condensation running down my glass. He is confused. No, he is scared. That made me look up. Mason's expression had lost the teasing edge. There is a difference. Before I could answer, Tori dropped into the booth beside me with a basket of fries and the kind of grin that meant damage was coming. Why are we whispering? Mason pointed his fry at Logan. Discussing bartender drama. Tori turned, saw Logan looking our way, then looked back at me slowly. Oh, that bartender drama. Heat climbed up my neck. There is no drama. Evan. She took a fry, chewed, and gave me a flat look. He once left in the middle of a poker night because you texted that your car battery died. That is called being helpful. He drove 40 minutes. Mason lifted both hands. I would not drive 40 minutes for my mother. Tori kept going, because apparently everyone had chosen violence. And last month at my apartment, when you fell asleep on the couch, he told everyone to shut up because you had a deadline the next morning. I looked toward Logan again, but he was busy with a customer. My chest did that stupid soft thing. I hated it. He is nice, I muttered. He is nice to people. Tori corrected. He is careful with you. Careful. That word sat wrong in my throat. Because Logan was careful. Careful when he pulled away. Careful when he changed the subject. Careful when he turned something real into a joke before anyone else could name it. Mason leaned back, studying me. Does he know you look like this when people talk about him? Like what? Like someone took your favorite song and made it complicated. I almost laughed, but it came out weak. Then Tori's face shifted. Her gaze moved past me toward the bar entrance. Oh no. I turned. A woman in a camel coat had just walked in with a younger guy beside her. Logan froze behind the bar. Not paused. Froze. His mother. I had seen pictures on his fridge. Clean smile. Perfect hair. The kind of woman who looked like she sent thank you cards for everything. The guy next to her was his younger brother, Nate, still in his college hoodie, scanning the room with bored curiosity. Logan wiped his hands on a towel, jaw tight, then came around the bar. I could not hear everything, but I saw the performance start. The hug, the smile, the straightening of his shoulders. His mother touched his cheek, said something that made Nate laugh. Then her eyes moved across the room and landed on me. I looked away too late. Logan followed her gaze. For 1 second, just one, he looked like he wanted to come over. Then his mother said something, and he turned back to her. Tori went quiet beside me. Mason did too. That somehow made it worse. A few minutes later, Logan walked over with them. My body went alert before my brain caught up. Hey, he started, too casual. This is my mom, Diane. And my brother, Nate. I stood because manners were apparently stronger than heartbreak. Evan, nice to meet you. Diane smiled warmly. Oh, Evan. Logan talks about you. Logan's hand flexed at his side. Nate grinned. A lot, actually. The table went still. Tori looked at her fries like they had suddenly become fascinating. Mason's eyebrows climbed so high they almost left his face. Diane glanced between me and Logan, still smiling, but there was something sharper under it. So you two work together? There it was. The question with the little trapdoor under it. Logan's mouth opened. I waited. I hated that I waited. No, he answered finally. We are just friends. Just friends. 2 words. Clean. Easy. Public. My chest went cold, but my face did what it always did. It smiled. Yeah, just friends. Logan looked at me then, and I knew he heard the difference. His mother kept smiling. Nate stopped. Mason looked away. Tori pressed her lips together like she wanted to throw the entire basket of fries at him. I sat down before my knees could do something embarrassing. Logan stayed there another second, caught between the people who made him afraid and the person he kept hurting because of it. Then Diane touched his arm. Honey, can you help us grab a table? He nodded. Of course he did. As he walked away, his eyes stayed on me longer than they should have. Long enough for his mother to notice. Long enough for me to understand exactly why he kept hiding. And long enough for it to hurt anyway. By the time Logan came back to our table, I had already decided I was leaving. Not dramatically. No speech. No storming out. Just a quiet exit before my face started telling the truth in front of everybody. Tori touched my wrist when I stood. You okay? I nodded because lying was apparently contagious. Mason did not buy it, but he let me go. Text me when you get home. I grabbed my jacket from the back of the booth and made it halfway to the side door before Logan appeared in front of me. He moved too fast for someone trying to look calm. Where are you going? I glanced past him. His mom and Nate were sitting near the window, menus open, both pretending not to watch. Home. Logan's eyes flicked to my jacket. I can drive you after my shift. I have my car. Evan. That voice again. Quiet. Careful. Like if he said my name softly enough, I might forget what he had just done. I laughed under my breath and looked toward the ceiling for 1 second, because I needed something solid to look at that was not his face. Do not do that. His brows pulled together. Do what? Act worried now. He swallowed. The hallway to the side exit was dim, with old flyers taped to the wall and a broken neon sign buzzing over the staff door. Not exactly the place anyone imagines having their heart stepped on, but honestly, it fit. I am worried. No, you are guilty. That shut him up. I hated how much I still knew his silences. This one was not defensive. It was scared. I stepped around him, but he caught my sleeve. Not my hand. Not this time. Just the fabric, like he remembered he had no right to more. Please. I stopped, hating myself instantly. Logan let go like the word had cost him something. When my mom asked, I froze. I know. I heard how it sounded. Good. His mouth tightened. It was not because I think you were just some friend. My chest went still. Not soft. Not hopeful. Still. Like my body was waiting before it let me feel anything. Logan looked over his shoulder. Diane was watching now. Nate too. Logan saw them, then looked back at me, and for the first time that night, he did not smile for them. He did not cover it with a joke. He just looked tired. I hate that word now, he admitted. Friend. His eyes held mine. Just. I could not speak for a second. The noise from the bar pushed around us, glasses clinking, people laughing, music thumping through the floor. But his voice cut right through it, low and uneven. Every time I say it, it feels like I am lying to your face. My grip tightened around my car keys. Then stop saying it. I am trying. You keep saying that. Because I am bad at this. He let out a breath and dragged a hand through his hair. I am bad at wanting something I do not know how to keep. That hit me harder than I wanted. I am not a thing you keep, Logan. I know. His answer came fast, almost rough. That is not what I meant. He stepped closer, then stopped himself, like the air between us had rules now. I mean, I do not know how to do this without messing it up. Without people looking. Without my mom asking questions I am not ready to answer. Without my brother making jokes. Without everyone suddenly knowing something I barely know how to say out loud. My throat tightened. And where does that leave me? Logan's face cracked. Just a little. Enough. I do not know. I nodded slowly. It should have made me angry. It did. But underneath that, there was something worse. Because he was finally telling the truth, and the truth still hurt. I turned toward the door again. Then I need to go. This time he caught my hand. Fully. Warm palm against mine. Fingers closing before he could talk himself out of it. I looked down. So did he. His mom could see us from the table if she looked hard enough. Nate definitely could. Logan knew that. His hand shook once, barely. But he did not let go. I did not want you to leave, he said. My heart started pounding. Tonight. His thumb pressed lightly against my knuckles. Ever. I looked at him then, and there was no joke waiting. No escape route. No public Logan stepping in to save him. Just Logan, scared out of his mind, holding my hand where someone might see. It felt real to me, he whispered. All of it. The couch. The key. The hoodie. The way I look for you in every room before I even know I am doing it. My chest hurt so badly I almost hated him for it. Logan, his eyes flicked past me. Diane had gone very still. Nate was no longer pretending to read the menu. Logan saw them. I felt the moment fear moved through him. I expected his hand to drop. I braced for it. But it stayed. Not steady. Not confident. But there. Still holding mine. I am not asking you to fix me, he murmured. I am asking you not to believe the lie I told because I was scared. For 1 second, I wanted to forgive him right there in that hallway. I wanted to step closer and let that be enough. But wanting something and surviving it were not the same thing. So I squeezed his hand once, then slowly pulled mine away. His face fell. Evan, I believe you, I said quietly. That is the problem. I pushed the side door open, cold air rushing in around us. Before I walked out, I looked back. Logan was still standing there, hand empty, eyes wide, while his mother watched from across the bar. For once, everyone could see it. And for once, He could not pretend there was nothing to hide. Logan did not text that night. Not after I left the bar. Not when I got home. Not even the next morning, when I woke up with my phone face down on the pillow beside me like I had fallen asleep waiting for something I refused to admit I wanted. I told myself the silence made sense. His mother had seen us. Nate had seen us. Half the bar probably saw enough to start guessing. Maybe Logan finally realized what it would cost him. Maybe he woke up embarrassed. Maybe he was already turning that hallway into another thing we would never talk about. By Sunday afternoon, I had built a whole funeral for us in my head, which was impressive considering we had never officially been alive. Tori called around 3. I almost ignored it, but she was the kind of person who would show up if you made her worry too long. "You sound terrible," she said before I even got hello out. I sat on my kitchen floor with a cold coffee beside me. "Thanks. You always know what to say." Logan came by the bar this morning. My stomach went tight. "Cool. Do not cool me. What do you want me to say?" There was a pause. Then her voice softened. "He looked wrecked, Evan." I closed my eyes. That should not have mattered. It did anyway. Did he ask about me? No, my chest dropped before I could stop it. Tori sighed. "Because he knew I would tell him to call you himself." I laughed once, weak and ugly. Well, he did not. Maybe he thinks you want space. Maybe he is relieved. The words came out too fast. Too bitter. Too honest. Tori went quiet, and I hated that too. "Do you actually believe that?" I looked around my apartment. The hoodie was still on the back of my chair. His hoodie. The one he told me to keep. I had not touched it since Friday, like it might accuse me of something. I do not know what I believe anymore. That evening, I went to the grocery store because I needed normal human tasks. Milk, eggs, bread. Something that proved my life existed outside of Logan Brooks and his emotional disasters. I was comparing 2 overpriced boxes of cereal when I heard his voice at the end of the aisle. My whole body reacted before my brain did. Heart first. Pride second. Logan stood near the produce section with Nate. His brother was holding a bag of apples and talking with his hands. Logan looked tired. Dark circles under his eyes, baseball cap low, hoodie sleeves pushed up. Then Nate said something I could not hear, and Logan shook his head. His voice came clearer as they moved closer. I am not ashamed of him. I froze with my hand still on the cereal box. Nate answered lower, but not low enough. "Then why did you make him feel like you were?" Logan stopped walking. For a second, he looked like someone had shoved a hand straight into his chest. "Because I am an idiot." My pulse started pounding. I should have backed away. I should have pretended I did not hear. Instead, I stood there behind a stack of family-sized cereal like a coward with a shopping basket. Nate's voice got gentler. "Mom is not as clueless as you think." Logan dragged a hand over his face. "She asked me if Evan was the reason I have been different. And I said I did not know." My throat tightened. Of course. There it was. The retreat. The label panic. The part where I became a question he was not ready to answer. Nate made a frustrated sound. "Logan, I know." His voice cracked around the edges. "I know. If I say it, then it is real. And if it is real, I can ruin it. I can lose him. I can lose the one person who already knows me better than anyone and still looks at me like I am worth the trouble." I stopped breathing. The aisle felt too bright, too public, too stupidly normal for a sentence like that. Nate was quiet for a moment. "Sounds like you already know." Logan did not answer. I stepped back without thinking and hit a display of granola bars. One box fell, then another, loud enough that both of them turned. Logan saw me. His face changed instantly. Not fear this time. Not panic. Just devastation. "Evan." I bent down too fast, grabbing boxes I did not need. "Sorry. I was just leaving." Nate looked between us, then quietly took 2 steps back, giving us space without making a show of it. Logan moved closer, but stopped before he crowded me. "How much did you hear?" I stood with a granola box in my hand like an idiot. "Enough." His eyes searched my face. "I was going to call. But you did not. Because I thought you regretted it." I blinked. "Regretted what?" "Letting me hold your hand." My chest hurt in a different way now. I pulled away because I had to, Logan. Not because I wanted to. His lips parted slightly. That landed. I saw it move through him, slow and painful. For a second, we just stood there in the grocery aisle, surrounded by cereal and sale signs and all the things people buy when their lives are not quietly falling apart. He looked at my basket, then at me. "You bought the coffee I hate." I glanced down. Dark roast. His least favorite. It was on sale. "You hate dark roast too." I hated that he knew. I hated that I smiled a little before I could stop it. Then his face softened, and the almost smile disappeared because we both remembered where we were. I do not want to go back to normal, he said quietly. I do not either. The truth slipped out before I could protect it. His eyes held mine. Warm, scared, hopeful in a way that made me want to forgive everything and also run straight into traffic. Then Nate cleared his throat from somewhere near the apples. Logan looked over, and his shoulders tensed out of habit. I saw the fear return. Just a flicker, but I saw it. He looked back at me, caught between stepping forward and surviving himself. I put the granola box back on the display. Figure out what you want before you make me hope again. Logan's face fell, but he nodded. No argument. No excuse. I walked past him toward the checkout, my hands shaking around the basket. Behind me, I heard Nate say softly, "You are going to lose him." I did not turn around, because the worst part was, I still hoped Logan would prove him wrong. Logan showed up at my apartment Monday night with a paper bag, 2 coffees, and the face of a man walking into court without a lawyer. I opened the door and stared at him. Dark roast. He looked down at the cups. Medium. I am not a monster. I almost smiled. Almost. Then I remembered the grocery aisle, his mother's eyes, the word just, and all the tiny ways he had made me feel like a secret with legs. Why are you here? Logan's hand tightened around the paper bag. Because I am done pretending I do not know. My chest went still. Not soft. Not safe. Just still. I stepped back and let him in, mostly because my hallway had thin walls and Mrs. Ramirez from 2B collected drama like coupons. Logan set the coffees on my kitchen counter. The bag had 2 blueberry muffins inside. My favorite. Of course he remembered. Of course that made it worse. Do not do the caring thing first, I muttered. He looked at me. What? The coffee. The muffins. The small stuff. My voice stayed quiet, but it shook anyway. You do that, and then I start forgetting the other part. Logan did not move. Rainwater clung to the shoulders of his jacket, darkening the fabric in uneven spots. What other part? I laughed once. Seriously? His eyes dropped. No. I know. The apartment felt too small with him in it. Too familiar. His hoodie was still over the chair, and he saw it. His face changed for half a second, but he did not reach for it. Good. I needed one thing in that room to stay where it was. I need you to say it, I told him. Logan swallowed. I hurt you. How? He looked up then, and there was no joke ready. No easy smile. No bartender charm. Just Logan, tired and scared and finally out of places to hide. I made you feel like you only mattered when we were alone. My throat tightened. I hated how much hearing it helped. I hated that it did not fix anything. Did I? His brows pulled together. Did you what? Only matter then. The question sat between us, simple and ugly. Logan stepped forward, then stopped himself with both hands at his sides. No, then why did it feel like that? Because I was a coward. The words came out fast, almost rough, like he had ripped them out before fear could grab them back. Because every time someone looked too closely, I panicked. And instead of dealing with that, I made you carry it. I looked away first. Not because I wanted to. Because my eyes were starting to burn, and I was not giving him that. Not yet. Logan's voice dropped. Ev, do not call me that if you are going to walk out scared again. Silence. Heavy. Honest. Then his keys hit the counter. I looked over. He had dropped them there like proof he was not leaving mid-sentence. I am scared right now. My chest tightened. Great start. A tiny breath left him. Almost a laugh, but not quite. I am serious. I am scared my mom is going to ask questions. I am scared Nate is going to look at me like I wasted years being stupid. I am scared our friends are going to make jokes until this thing feels less ours. He took one careful step closer. But I am more scared of going back to calling you my friend and pretending that word is big enough. I forgot to breathe for a second. The refrigerator hummed. A car passed outside, tires hissing on wet pavement. Logan glanced at my hand, then back at my face. He did not touch me. That mattered. He was asking without asking. What do you want from me? His voice barely held together. I wanted to say everything. I wanted to say choose me. I wanted to say stop making me beg for a place you already gave me when nobody was watching. Instead, I told the truth in the smallest way I could. I want to stop feeling embarrassed for hoping. Logan closed his eyes like that hurt. When he opened them, they were wet enough to scare me, but he kept his voice steady. Then I will stop making you guess. Logan. No, he shook his head once. Let me say it before I mess it up again. The space between us felt electric and quiet at the same time. His hands curled at his sides. I want you. Not just on my couch. Not just in my kitchen at 1 in the morning. Not just when nobody can see. My heart hit hard against my ribs. You do not have to answer tonight, he added quickly, like he saw me freeze. I am not trying to corner you. You were kind of in my kitchen. That got the smallest smile out of him. Soft. Nervous. Real. Fair. Then he looked down at the muffins and shook his head like he hated himself a little. I brought food because I did not know how to show up without hiding behind something. I looked at him for a long second. Then I reached for one of the coffee cups and slid the other toward him. His fingers touched the cardboard sleeve at the same time mine did. Neither of us pulled away. Not this time. You still have to figure out how to do this out there, I whispered. His thumb rested against the side of the cup, close to mine. I know. I cannot be your secret anymore. You are not. I looked at him. Really looked. Not in here. Out there. Logan nodded slowly. The fear was still there. I could see it. But for once, it was not driving. Then let me prove it. I did not say yes. I did not forgive everything in one perfect moment. Life was not that clean. But I did not move my hand away either. And when Logan looked down at our fingers resting against the same warm cup, he smiled like it meant more than it should. Maybe it did. Logan did not ask me to go public with him in some dramatic way. There was no speech in the rain. No playlist outside my window. No perfectly timed movie moment. It happened 2 nights later at Casey's bar, which made sense, because that was where he had hurt me in front of people, and Logan, for all his flaws, understood where a thing needed to be repaired. I almost did not go. I stood in my apartment for 15 minutes holding my keys, wearing my own jacket instead of his hoodie because I needed to feel like I had a choice. Then my phone buzzed. Logan, I am not asking you to come for me. I am asking because I want to leave with you. I stared at that for a long time. Then I went. The bar was busy but not packed. Wednesday crowd. People pretending they were just grabbing one drink when everyone knew they would stay for 3. Tori saw me first and gave me a look from the booth, the kind that meant she would rescue me or interrogate me depending on how the night went. Mason lifted his beer in a silent hello. I nodded and tried not to look at the bar. Failed immediately. Logan was behind the counter in a black shirt, hair still damp like he had rushed after a shower. The second he saw me, everything on his face changed. Not in a loud way, just enough that I felt it from across the room. He set down the glass in his hand, said something to Casey, then walked out from behind the bar. My pulse kicked hard. People were around. Tori was watching. Mason was watching. Casey was definitely pretending not to watch, badly. Logan stopped in front of me, close but not too close. For once, he did not reach for me like he was asking me to carry the risk for both of us. He just looked at me. Hi. I almost laughed because after everything, that was what came out. Hi. His mouth twitched, nervous. I saved you a seat. My chest tightened. At the bar. Next to me when my shift ends. He glanced back once, not to check who was looking, but like he was making sure he did this where everyone could see. Then he turned to the booth. Actually, with everyone. If that is okay. Tori's eyebrows shot up. Mason hid a smile behind his glass. I looked at Logan, waiting for the panic. Waiting for the joke. Waiting for do not make it weird. It did not come. His hand moved slowly, palm open between us, not grabbing, not assuming. Just there. A choice. The room did not go silent. Life is not that neat. Someone laughed near the pool table. Ice clinked behind the bar. A phone buzzed on the counter. But for me, everything narrowed to his hand and the fact that he was not pulling it back. I placed my hand in his. Logan's fingers closed around mine, warm and steady this time. No flinch. No drop. No pretending. His thumb brushed my knuckles once, and I felt him exhale like he had been holding his breath for years. Tori looked down at our hands and smiled like she was trying not to cry. Mason leaned back. About time. I expected Logan to laugh it off. Instead, he glanced at me. Yeah, he said softly. It is. That was the moment I believed him. Not because he fixed everything. He did not. We still had things to talk about. His mom. His fear. My trust. All the small places where hurt had collected. But he walked me to that booth with our hands still linked, and when we sat down, he did not choose the chair across from me. He sat beside me, shoulder touching mine, out in the open, like it was normal, like it could become normal if we kept choosing it. Later, when his shift ended, he came back with 2 waters and a basket of fries because he was still Logan and carrying through snacks was apparently incurable. He slid into the seat beside me again. "Can I take you home?" I looked at him. As what? His smile was small, nervous, honest. As the guy who is done hiding you. My throat tightened. I nodded once. Okay. Outside, the air was cold enough to make both of us breathe smoke. Logan reached for my hand before we crossed the parking lot, and this time, he did not look around first. That was the part one remember most. Not the bar. Not the booth. Not Mason's stupid grin. Just his hand finding mine under the streetlights like it belonged there. And maybe love does not always start with a perfect confession. Sometimes it starts with someone finally staying beside you when the world can see.